stop walking for exercise until you watch this video. I know that sounds alarming, and I know walking is the one thing every doctor, every magazine, and every well-meaning friend has told you is the safest, simplest thing you can do for your health after 50. And they're not entirely wrong. But here is what they are not telling you: walking the wrong way with the wrong habits at the wrong pace is not just ineffective after 50. It is actively working against your body in ways that accelerate aging, destroy your joints, weaken your heart, and leave you more fragile than if you had simply done nothing at all. A major study published in the Journal of Aging and Physical Activity tracked over 3,200 adults between the ages of 55 and 80 over a 6-year period and found that 67% of those who walked regularly were doing so in ways that provided little to no cardiovascular benefit, and in several key groups, those walking habits were actually increasing inflammatory markers and accelerating joint deterioration. 67%. That means the majority of people who believe they are protecting their health with their daily walk may be doing the opposite. And stay with me, because mistake number 1 on this list, the single most damaging walking habit that almost every person over 60 is making right now, is something you will never see discussed in a mainstream fitness article. It has to do with the time of day you walk, and the research behind it genuinely shocked me. But before we get into the full list, I want to hear from you directly. Tell me in the comments, how old are you, and do you walk regularly for your health? If so, how far and how often? I personally read every comment on this channel, and your answers shape every video I make. This community is the reason I do this work. We are counting down today from 7 to 1 from the mistakes that cause moderate damage to the one that, in my clinical experience, does the most harm to aging bodies specifically. Let's get into it. Mistake number 7. Walking on hard, flat surfaces every single day without variation. Most people over 50 have found their route. The same sidewalk, the same road, the same flat track around the park every day, year after year. It feels safe. It feels familiar, and it is quietly destroying the cartilage in your knees and hips faster than almost any other repetitive habit I can think of. Research from Brigham and Women's Hospital in Boston analyzed the gait mechanics and joint health of adults over 55 who walked exclusively on flat, hard surfaces compared to those who incorporated varied terrain. After 3 years, the flat surface-only group showed cartilage thinning in the medial knee compartment at a rate 31% faster than the varied terrain group. 31% faster cartilage loss from simply choosing the same sidewalk every day. Here is the biomechanical reason this matters so profoundly for aging bodies. Cartilage does not have its own blood supply. It is fed by a process called synovial fluid exchange. Essentially, compression and decompression of the joint squeezes nutrients in and waste products out like squeezing a sponge. When you walk on the same flat surface repeatedly, you compress the exact same region of cartilage with the exact same force at the exact same angle with every single step. That area gets progressively starved of nutrients while the surrounding cartilage goes unused. After 60, your body's ability to synthesize new cartilage collagen is already reduced by approximately 40% compared to your younger years. So every zone of cartilage you're not regenerating as cartilage, you are losing permanently. What you should do is deliberately vary your surfaces. Grass at least 2 days a week loads your joints at slightly different angles and dramatically reduces impact force compared to concrete. Studies suggest grass reduces ground reaction force by up to 17% compared to asphalt. Gentle inclines activate your glutes and posterior chain muscles in ways flat surfaces never do, which protects your knees by distributing load more broadly. Even walking on slightly uneven ground activates 23% more stabilizer muscle activity according to research from the University of Salford, which directly slows the muscle atrophy that accelerates after age 55. Pair surface variation with proper footwear, a cushioned motion control shoe with at least 10 millimeters of heel-to-toe drop, and you compound the joint protection dramatically. Mistake number 6, walking without engaging your core, shoulders back, and head forward. Let me paint a picture you may recognize. You're on your walk, you're comfortable, you're moving at a decent pace, and your chin is jutting forward, your shoulders are rounded, your lower back is slightly arched, and your core is completely relaxed. This is how the overwhelming majority of people over 60 walk. And this posture is not just cosmetically unflattering. It is a neurological and musculoskeletal problem that compounds every year you continue it. A study conducted at the Spine Research Institute of Sydney followed 400 adults over 60 and found that those with persistent forward head posture during walking, where the head sits more than 2.5 centimeters in front of the shoulders, experienced cervical spine compression equivalent to carrying an additional 27 pounds on their neck. 27 extra pounds every step. That chronic compressive load accelerates cervical disc degeneration, reduces blood flow through the vertebral arteries, and directly contributes to the chronic neck pain, headaches, and balance problems that most people simply accept as inevitable parts of getting older. The deeper issue here involves your fascia. Think of fascia as the body's internal shrink wrap, a connective tissue web that links your head to your toes in one continuous chain. When your head sits forward and your shoulders round inward, the entire anterior chain of your body from your chest down through your hip flexors shortens and tightens. This pulls your pelvis into anterior tilt, compresses your lumbar discs, and shortens your stride length. Research from the University of Pittsburgh's Aging Research Center found that shortened stride length in adults over 65 is one of the strongest independent predictors of fall risk, cognitive decline, and mortality within a 5-year window. The correction is something I call the string and stack technique. Before each walk, imagine a string attached to the crown of your head pulling you gently upward. Stack your ears over your shoulders over your hips over your ankles. Pull your navel gently inward, not a hard brace, just a gentle activation of your deep core muscles. Tuck your chin slightly, not down to your chest, but back and in. Do this consciously for the first 2 minutes of every walk until it becomes automatic. Pair this posture reset with 2 minutes of hip flexor stretching before you head out, a simple standing lunge stretch held for 45 seconds per side, and you will feel the difference within a week. Mistake number 5, walking too slowly to generate any real physiological benefit. This is the mistake that feels the least like a mistake, because slow walking is comfortable, it is gentle, and it feels like something you can sustain. And for certain populations on certain days, gentle movement is exactly right. But if slow walking is your only speed every single day, you are missing the physiological trigger that makes walking genuinely transformative for aging bodies. Researchers at the National Institute on Aging conducted a landmark study on walking intensity and its effects on adults over 60, and what they found was striking. Adults who walked at a pace insufficient to raise their heart rate above 50% of maximum showed no significant improvement in cardiovascular function, insulin sensitivity, or mitochondrial density after 12 weeks of regular walking, compared to those who incorporated even short bursts of moderate intensity, who showed a 19% improvement in mitochondrial efficiency. Mitochondria are your cell's power generators. Think of them like the engine in a car. After age 60, mitochondrial density and efficiency decline naturally at roughly 1% per year. The only proven non-pharmaceutical way to reverse that decline is intensity-based exercise stimulus. Gerald, a 72-year-old retired postal worker from Memphis, Tennessee, had walked 3 miles every single morning for 11 years. When he came to see me, his resting heart rate was high, his blood sugar was creeping upward, and he had gained 12 pounds over the previous 4 years despite his consistent routine. We changed nothing about his walking schedule, same 3 miles, same mornings. We simply added 2-minute intervals of brisk walking fast enough that holding a conversation became slightly difficult every 7 minutes throughout his walk. Within 16 weeks, his fasting blood glucose dropped 14 points, his resting heart rate decreased by 8 beats per minute, and he lost 7 pounds without changing a single thing he ate. The practical target for adults over 60 is to spend at least 30% of your total walking time at a pace where you can speak in short sentences but not comfortably sing. You do not need to run. You do not need a fitness tracker. You simply need to push yourself to brisk for 2 minutes out of every 7. Pair this with a 5-minute warm-up at slow pace and a 5-minute cool down, and you have a walking protocol that actually moves the needle on your health. Mistake number 4, walking without adequate hydration before, during, and after. This is the mistake I see most consistently underestimated, and it has consequences that reach far beyond simple thirst. Dehydration during walking, even mild dehydration, triggers a cascade of physiological problems in bodies over 50 that simply do not occur with the same severity in younger adults. A clinical study from the University of Connecticut's Human Performance Laboratory found that a fluid loss of just 1.5% of body weight, an amount too small to feel as thirst in most adults over 60, caused measurable increases in cortisol, the body's primary stress hormone, along with a 12% reduction in cognitive performance and a significant increase in blood viscosity. Blood viscosity means the thickness of your blood. Think of your blood like a river. When properly hydrated, it flows easily and efficiently through your vessels. Dehydrated blood is more like syrup. It moves sluggishly, it places greater stress on the heart to pump, and it creates exactly the conditions in which clots are more likely to form. Here is the aging-specific reason this matters so much. After age 60, the sensation of thirst becomes progressively less reliable as a hydration signal. The hypothalamus, the brain region that triggers thirst, becomes less sensitive with age, meaning you can be significantly dehydrated without feeling thirsty at all. Research estimates that adults over 65 are chronically mildly dehydrated at rates approaching 40% of the population without awareness. The protocol is simple but must be deliberate. Drink 12 to 16 ounces of water in the 30 minutes before your walk. For walks exceeding 30 minutes, take a water bottle and drink 4 to 6 ounces every 15 minutes, regardless of whether you feel thirsty. Rehydrate with 16 ounces within 30 minutes of finishing. If you are walking in heat above 80 degrees Fahrenheit, add a small pinch of sea salt to your water to replace electrolytes sodium, potassium, and magnesium, which are lost through sweat and are critical for muscle function and heart rhythm regulation in older adults. Scientific references for all studies mentioned today are linked in the description below. If this channel has ever given you information that helped you or someone you love, right now is the perfect moment to hit subscribe and give this video a like. I produce this content without pharmaceutical sponsorship, without hospital system funding, purely because I believe people over 50 deserve honest, science-based health information. Subscribing takes 3 seconds, and it means you will never miss a video that could change the trajectory of your health. Hit subscribe, hit the bell icon, and let's keep going. Mistake number 3. Never varying your walking routine to include backward or lateral movement. I know this sounds unusual. I know this is not what anyone has ever told you about your daily walk. But the research behind this is some of the most compelling data I have seen in the field of aging and mobility, and I would be doing you a disservice if I left it out. Your body has a movement vocabulary, a full range of directions, planes, and patterns that it was designed to use regularly. Walking forward in a straight line uses approximately 40% of your available lower body muscle groups. The remaining 60%, your hip abductors, your lateral stabilizers, your posterior chain stabilizers, your proprioceptive balance muscles, are sitting idle, atrophying week after week, year after year. And those are precisely the muscles that prevent falls. A groundbreaking study from the Tokyo Institute of Gerontology followed 380 adults between ages 65 and 82 and found that those who incorporated just 10 minutes of backward and lateral walking into their weekly routine 3 times per week showed a 47% reduction in fall incidence over 18 months compared to the forward walking only control group. 47% fewer falls from 10 minutes of unconventional movement 3 times a week. Backward walking, in particular, activates the quadriceps, the front thigh muscles, in a lengthened position that forward walking never achieves. It also dramatically increases activity in the cerebellum, the part of your brain responsible for balance and spatial coordination. Think of your cerebellum like the gyroscope in an airplane. It keeps everything level and oriented. After 65, cerebellar processing speed declines noticeably, contributing to the balance degradation that leads to falls. Backward walking is one of the very few physical activities that research shows can actively stimulate and partially reverse this decline. Helen, a 77-year-old retired nurse from Minneapolis, Minnesota, had fallen twice in the previous year and was terrified of falling again. Her daughter brought her to our clinic. We did not put her on medication. We did not send her to expensive physical therapy 5 days a week. We asked her to walk backward for 10 minutes, 3 times weekly, in her backyard where the ground was flat and she could use a wall for reassurance if needed. 8 months later, she had not fallen once, her walking speed had increased measurably, and she told me it was the first time in years she felt confident descending stairs. Practically speaking, find a flat, safe surface, a long hallway, a quiet stretch of path, a backyard. Take 20 backward steps, rest, repeat 3 times. For lateral movement, step side to side for 30 seconds in each direction. These movements feel awkward at first. That awkwardness is your nervous system waking up. Mistake number 2. Wearing the wrong shoes or walking in shoes that are too old. You already know that footwear matters, but what most people over 50 do not know is just how rapidly walking shoes lose their structural integrity and how profoundly that degradation affects every joint from your heel to your lower back. Research from the sports medicine department at the University of Exeter found that the midsole cushioning in athletic walking shoes loses approximately 40% of its shock absorption capacity after 300 to 500 miles of use, often within 6 to 9 months for regular walkers. Most people own their walking shoes for 2 to 3 years. This means that the majority of walkers over 50 are walking on essentially flat, unsupportive soles, receiving ground impact forces directly into their heel bones, ankles, knees, and lumbar spine with every single step. After age 55, the fat padding on the bottom of your feet, a natural cushioning layer called the plantar fat pad, thins by an average of 30% compared to its thickness at age 30. This is a natural change nobody talks about. It means that your feet themselves have lost significant internal shock absorption, making external cushioning from proper footwear not a luxury, but a biological necessity. The combination of depleted plantar fat pad and worn-out shoe midsoles means that every step you take transmits forces up your kinetic chain, your joints absorbing what the cushioning no longer can. Look at the bottom of your current walking shoes right now. If the tread pattern is noticeably worn in any area, particularly under the heel or ball of the foot, those shoes are past their protective life regardless of how they look from the outside. Midsole compression, which is invisible to the eye, degrades much faster than the outer rubber. Replace your walking shoes every 400 miles or every 8 months, whichever comes first. For adults over 65 with any history of knee pain, plantar fasciitis, or lower back pain, look specifically for shoes with a wide toe box, a heel drop between 8 and 12 millimeters, and a firm but cushioned midsole, not a maximalist foam shoe, which research suggests actually impairs proprioception, your body's ability to sense its position in space. Pair proper footwear with custom or over-the-counter orthotics if you pronate, meaning your arches collapse inward when you walk, and you will notice a reduction in knee and lower back discomfort within 2 to 3 weeks. And now we arrive at mistake number 1, the single most damaging walking mistake made by people over 50. The one that undermines every other health effort you are making. The one that is directly connected to accelerated muscle loss, hormonal disruption, increased cardiovascular risk, and cognitive decline, and it has nothing to do with your stride, your shoes, or your posture. Mistake number 1, walking at the wrong time of day for your biology and skipping the critical post-walk nutrition window. Here is what the research shows and why it matters so profoundly after 50. Your body operates on a circadian rhythm, a roughly 24-hour biological clock that governs hormone levels, inflammation cycles, metabolic function, and cellular repair. For adults over 50, this internal clock becomes progressively less synchronized, a process researchers call circadian disruption, and it is one of the most underappreciated drivers of accelerated aging. A study published in the Journal of Physiology from researchers at Maastricht University in the Netherlands found that adults over 55 who walked in the late afternoon, specifically between 3 p.m. and 6 p.m., showed significantly greater improvements in insulin sensitivity, fat oxidation, and cardiovascular efficiency compared to those who performed the same walk in the early morning fasted state. The difference in metabolic benefit was not trivial. The afternoon group showed 28% greater reduction in postprandial blood glucose, that is, blood sugar after eating, and 22% greater improvement in arterial flexibility over a 12-week period, performing the identical walk at a different time of day. The biological explanation is elegant. In the late afternoon, core body temperature reaches its daily peak, Muscle fiber recruitment is at its most efficient, and reaction time and coordination are at their sharpest. Cortisol, the stress and inflammation hormone, is naturally declining, meaning the exercise-induced cortisol response is more moderate and recovery is faster. For aging bodies specifically, where cortisol dysregulation is already a significant driver of muscle breakdown, belly fat accumulation, and sleep disruption, exercising during cortisol's natural decline window is meaningfully protective. But here's the second half of this mistake, and it is equally damaging: the post-walk nutrition window. After the age of 60, your muscles develop a condition researchers call anabolic resistance, meaning they become progressively less responsive to the signals that trigger repair and growth. In a 30-year-old, muscles stay receptive to protein synthesis for several hours after exercise. In a 65-year-old, that window is dramatically narrower. Research from the University of Texas Medical Branch at Galveston found that older adults who consumed 25 to 30 grams of high-quality protein within 45 minutes of finishing their walk experienced 3 times greater muscle protein synthesis compared to those who waited 2 hours or more. 3 times greater, from simply eating at the right time. David, a 68-year-old retired school principal from Burlington, Vermont, came to me frustrated. He had walked faithfully for 4 years, 45 minutes every morning before breakfast. He had not gained significant weight, but he was losing muscle, getting weaker, feeling more fatigued than ever. We made 2 changes only. We moved his walk to 4 p.m., and we had him eat 2 eggs and a small portion of Greek yogurt within 30 minutes of finishing. Within 3 months, his grip strength, a validated marker of overall muscle health and longevity, had improved measurably. His afternoon energy levels had transformed, and he told me for the first time in years he felt like his body was actually responding to his effort. The practical application is this: if your schedule allows any flexibility, try shifting your walk to between 3 and 6 p.m. If morning walking is the only time that works for your life, that is still vastly better than no walking, but make sure you are not walking in a fully fasted state for more than 30 minutes, and eat a protein-rich meal within 45 minutes of finishing. Your muscles have a closing window after every walk. What you put in before that window closes determines whether your body rebuilds or continues to break down. Here is what I want you to truly understand as you walk away from this video today. Walking is one of the most powerful tools available to a human body at any age. Study after study confirms that regular walkers over 60 live longer, think more clearly, maintain their independence longer, and report higher quality of life than their sedentary peers. But walking is a tool, and like any tool, it must be used correctly to do the job it was designed to do. You have spent decades building a life worth protecting: relationships, memories, a sense of purpose that doesn't end at retirement. The quality of the years ahead of you, the ability to walk with your grandchildren without pain, to travel, to remain independent, to wake up every morning feeling capable and strong, that is not determined by fate. It is determined by the choices you make right now, with the knowledge you now have. Every single item on this list is correctable. Every one of these mistakes can be fixed starting on your very next walk. You are not too old. You are not too far gone. I have watched patients in their late 70s and early 80s transform their mobility, their strength, and their vitality by making simple, deliberate adjustments to habits they had practiced for years. The science does not put an age limit on improvement. Neither should you. If this video helped you today, please subscribe to this channel and share it with someone over 50 in your life who walks regularly, because there's a very good chance they are making at least one of these mistakes right now without knowing it. Hit the bell icon so you are notified the moment my next video goes live, because next week I am covering the 5 daily habits that add the most proven years to your life after 65, and the research will genuinely surprise you. And now tell me in the comments, which one of these 7 mistakes surprised you the most? And are you going to change the time of day you walk? I read every single comment. Everyone. I will see you in the next video.